Both Mr. Tarrant and Cal McClellan are senior people.
Recording in progress.
Office. Mr. Tarrant did work for you on that campaign as he says that he was a senior strategist, and Cal McClellan is your former director of communications. Did their connections help them to win a contract that wound up being worth, an untender contract that wound up being worth $1.9 million?
I don't think so. So the idea for Nova Scotia Loyal was something that was kind of an idea I had for a couple of years while I was in opposition, and I talked about to various people about. When we formed government, it was something we wanted to act on. They had experience doing a program in Ontario. I think it was a foodland program or something. They had some experience with a similar type concept, and we wanted to get going. So we went with the people who could get it going, in our estimation at that time. I think since then that cycle has gone through, and we've tendered it out, and somebody else does the work now.
Who would they have pitched it to? Did they pitch it to you? Did they pitch it to political people?
They pitched the idea to me. The Nova Scotia Loyal?
Their involvement in it.
Not to me. I don't. This was something that I had talked about to numerous people. It made it into the platform. We wanted to execute on it. So, you know, who was hired to execute on it, I'm not sure it was. I wasn't part of those discussions, but it was certainly a driving force behind pushing Nova Scotia Loyal. It's a good idea. I like it a lot. It's something I want to happen. So pushing it to happen for sure. Who was awarded contracts and how that went, it wasn't a decision that I was part of.
These are former associates of yours who won a very large untendered contract. I'm wondering, are you concerned about how that looks?
It's a small world, really. I mean, when you think about the people who do these types of things, I don't think people should be penalized for volunteering and helping on campaigns either. That's the other side of it. I mean, there would be some people that say anyone who's ever helped on a campaign should never work. Well, that's not kind either, right? People volunteer, they help on campaigns because they care. They happen to have other skill sets that are useful, and they run a business, right? So we want to use the best, and we wanted to get that program running, and we got it running.
I take your point about Mr. Tennant and Mr. McClellan's connection to Ontario and the project that you referenced there, but how do you necessarily know that they're the best if you've not given other people who may have similar, if not even superior experience, a chance to bid on the work?
We wanted to get going. We got going. To your point, we've since done a tender, and somebody else does that work now. But yeah, these are fundamental questions, right? You want to get going. You want to be working with the best people, and you just get going. So we got going. That program, I think, is a good program, and it's starting to get some traction now.
Was the decision to eventually tender the work a reflection that perhaps you weren't as happy with the performance by that firm as you had hoped, or was your intention always to eventually put that work out to bid?
I'm not sure. I wasn't part of that process. I guess what I would say in general, and this is part of the learning experience of governing too. You know, you come in and you become premier, and you got a lot on your plate, and you want to get things going, so you get going. The longer you're there, the more you kind of realize different things, that how things can be done. And so that program would have started, so would have got some momentum, some traction, and then somebody in the department or in the process would have said, how are we going to get this to the next step, and would have tendered it out, and that's fair too.
Enterprise Canada and its sister company did use a fair bit of Toronto-based talent to do these commercials that were part of the Nova Scotia Loyal launch. Are you satisfied that was a good way to make ads about being?
No, I think I don't know if that's true. They certainly have a Halifax office. You mentioned some of the people who work in it. There's other people there, as far as I know, as well. So my understanding is that creative work was done in Nova Scotia. But you have an idea for a program like Nova Scotia Loyal. You have to take it from an idea to implement it, and then you have to keep constantly assessing whether the implementation is going well, and that's all I try to do.
Just to tie a bow on it, Nova Scotia Loyal was initially pitched to voters as a rewards program, and it is no longer a rewards program. It was only a rewards program for about a year. It's more of a branding program, I suppose, now. are you, would Tim Houston in 2021 have recognized what Nova Scotia Loyal has become and be happy with it?
I think I'm certainly somebody who's never satisfied with anything, so I always push harder. I also think the world has changed a lot too, right? So programs have to be nimble enough as well. So we take that advice, but I think the way that I initially envisioned the program with an actual card, like you'd have a card, right? Well, it turned out that when, significant research was done and meaningful research was done, people said, I don't want another card, right? So we have right away out of the gates, we had to kind of recognize what consumers would be willing to do and what consumers would be attracted to. And so we had to adapt immediately on that. But at its core, it's a program about pride in Nova Scotia. And there's lots of pride in Nova Scotia. We have lots of products and lots of, opportunities to support Nova Scotians and Nova Scotia businesses, and we should do that. That's at its core. So the intent is still very much the same, whether the tactics have changed.
Sorry to step on you there. Have you had any conversations with representatives from Cabinet or Rodney MacDonald about their thoughts of resurrecting this proposal for using part of West Mabou Beach for a golf development?
This is something that's been discussed for a while, for sure. So, I mean, over the course of the last few years, for sure.
Because as you're correct in saying, we talked about this 2 years ago. More recently, say in the last 6 months, have you talked with Mr. MacDonald or anyone from Cabinet about this?
No, but I've spoke to the local MLA a lot, who's speaking to a lot of people about it. And I've spoke to residents, and I hear from residents in that area, solicited, unsolicited as well, right? I hear from lots of people that are actual residents of the area that just send me messages saying this is a good thing, right? So but it's a public has, there's no, we talked about a different file last week. It's hard to get unanimous consent in community, right? But there's certainly feelings on this. But what I would say is we're all Nova Scotians. We all love our outdoors. We love our beaches. We love our parks. Like it's a great draw to living here. But we need to be open-minded and listen to opportunities. If there's maybe a better use for a land that might get more people involved in enjoying Nova Scotia, we should listen to that. And I think that's what's happening now. We're listening. Is there an economic opportunity that could create jobs and bring people to the area and spur some economic development and still find that balance with pride in community?
Protected place. A lot of people are looking for reassurance from your government that it will remain a protected place. Right now, we're not hearing that reassurance. We're saying we're open to perhaps development, and that is your position.
That's my position, yeah. But I would say this, the concept of a golf course in a park is not unique at all. You don't have to go very far from West Mabou to find an actual golf course in a park. There are numerous examples across the country. So I wouldn't accept the argument that this is some kind of crazy idea that's never happened. It's not. It's true. It happens all over the place. And in Nova Scotia, we can be open to that too. It works in other areas. It might work here too. We'll see.
Why does it make sense that a company with the large resources such as Cabot has, why does it make sense that the government would contemplate giving them land when, frankly, they've got enough money to go out and buy whatever land it is they need elsewhere? Why do we need to look at giving them land that's been designated as protected?
Is that what's being looked at? Like there's a few assumptions in what you're
Assumption,
suggesting.
they say on the website, they have a website for the proposal. They want a Crown land lease.
So a lease would be different than giving, right? Those would be different things.
But the question, let me rephrase the question then.
Sure.
Why would it make sense to lease land to them when that's protected? So you're changing what the use of protected land is going to be for to the benefit of a private company, when that private company could go out and buy land elsewhere that's not protected and intended for the use of everybody.
I don't want to presuppose the outcome of the exercise. We're listening, there's, but why I believe it's the case that there are certain locations that are suitable for world-class golf courses. and maybe some that aren't. So if you're a developer of world-class golf courses, which Cabot is, some of the, like, I don't know how many they have in the top 10 in the world, but they're a well-respected operator, probably have pretty good expertise at siting golf courses. They have a belief that this may be a good place for one. I'm not good at siting golf courses, so that's not in my wheelhouse. So we'll listen to them. If a company comes into Nova Scotia and says we have an idea, I think it would be irresponsible to not listen. So we're listening.
Down 2 years ago.
Well, 2 years ago, you said the public would get a say before West Malibu Provincial Park became part of a golf course. Do you still feel that way, and what would that look like?
Yeah, so there would be a consultation process. I mean, there's pretty extensive discussions happening in the area right now, actually. But you know, if we get there, we'll look at what the consultation process should look like. But again, the world has changed. Like we have like the world is a different place than it was 3 years ago. We have $1 billion deficit. The international trade relationships are different. So we need to be looking at opportunities, and we need to have frank discussions about what those opportunities are. Some of them might be good opportunities, but not all of them. Who knows, right? But we should have the discussions, and I think we're listening and having a discussion. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
How's this different from Owl's Head?
Owl's Head was a different situation because the outcome was presupposed and the fix was in from Rankin at the time, right? He kind of moved ahead on this on his own without talking to anyone, without doing anything. So, but we'll see what happens. We're listening. We're listening carefully. We have a company that's interested in Nova Scotia, and I like it when companies are interested in Nova Scotia, so I listen to them.
Premier, pivoting to your cabinet shuffle, you said last week it was about getting the right people in the right place. That was clear with the energy file, with the MOU with Ontario. But I'm curious, why natural resources and why justice?
These are tough decisions. Like, there's just no question about that. Most of the people in my caucus are people that ran under me, that I encouraged to run. You know, there's only a few that kind of came in at the same time as me. There's not many left from that class of 2013. So that means that a lot of the other ones I sought out, encouraged them to run, and asked them to be part of my team. So when you make decisions and you move people around, I mean, look, Brian Wong, Susan Corkum-Greek, Brad Johns, Tori Russian, Trevor Boudreau, they're all people they're all good people. They're all people I would consider friends, you know, in many ways, but certainly strong colleagues. So these are tough decisions, but as Premier, it's my responsibility. We have a very large caucus, a lot of diversity of thought, diversity of background, a lot of highly intelligent people. So as Premier, it's just my responsibility to make sure that we're using the skills we have for the benefit of Nova Scotians, and I make tough decisions all the time to do that.
Sorry, to the NDP and the Liberals saying that these decisions were made in secret and that it speaks to internal problems within your caucus.
Nonsense.
Can you explain the difference?
Just one sec, Jacob. We just have a question on the phone. So Laura Stone from the Globe and Mail, you can go ahead if you're on the line.
Yes, hi Premier, can you hear me?
Hi, Laura, I can hear you.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm wondering, I'm writing today about some calls from some other premiers for an FMM to talk about trade and an update on the Canada-US negotiations. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on whether there needs to be more of a robust meeting and update from the Prime Minister on what's happening with Canada-US trade talks.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've had a couple of FMMs. I think the Prime Minister has been pretty open in his willingness to establish FMMs, so that's a good thing. There's a lot going on. The Prime Minister has been busy on a few trade missions. There's lots of movings with the relationship with the United States. The budget will be coming, so I would say that there's probably a lot for us to talk about as a group, and I'd be in favor of that.
Do you think?
Have a follow-up question?
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, have you saw what happened this week with Ontario's advertisement? I wonder what your thoughts are on the strategy of that, and whether premiers should be going out and sort of doing their own thing and advocating for what they think is best as the Prime Minister attempts these kinds of negotiations.
Yeah, I think every jurisdiction is impacted a little differently. We're all impacted, but it's kind of different in every area. And certainly in Ontario, the auto sector, massive industry, and hugely impacted. So, I don't have an issue with a premier standing up in support of their residents and workers, and I think that's what Ontario was doing. I thought the ad was pretty classy and pretty accurate, to be honest. And I think lots of others did too, because somebody told me there's over 10 billion interactions with that ad now. So, but I think I don't have any issue with any premier standing up for their citizens and their jurisdiction.
If you had a question, go ahead.
Druin said that there was a difference between what she sort of thought the trajectory of the party should be and your decisions in leadership. A difference between the ideas of leadership. Is that a difference between you and Druin or other colleagues than you and Druin? Can you just describe this?
Look, I'm not. They're tough decisions for me to make for sure, and then they have an impact on people, and people have their own responses to that. So I certainly wish her all the best, and I wish her every success in the role as independent. I wish that success for the citizens that she represents. They need to have that. But I think we have a pretty strong party. I know that I hear from grassroots members all the time, encouraging us to keep going on the path we're going. We made, the first term was obviously heavy on healthcare. We're leading the country in a lot of what we've done in healthcare. Some of the other stuff that we accomplished is having really positive impacts on Nova Scotians. And the reality is, all that stuff needs to be paid for, right? We have a big deficit, and we have to grow our economy. And I think the caucus, you can speak to them. They can speak for themselves. But my sense is that we're all going the same direction. The executive, the presidents across the province, the grassroots members. So, look, I get up every single day, and I put everything that I have in my being to doing the best for Nova Scotians. Every single day I give this role every bit that I have, and I'll continue to do that. There's always work to be done. We'll get up and do it. We have a great team, incredible caucus, incredible cabinet, and a great support from the party, and we'll keep moving forward.
A lot of people. Dartmouth Cove for a second. We've seen the feds give an approval to the infill at Dartmouth Cove. We know HRM's stance on it. They're looking to not have that, go forward at this time. What's your take on that? Is that something that should be developed?
So I think that's a thought, like through the process, that council motion or bylaw will be referred to the minister for further review. My understanding is there's a couple reasons for that. One is that there's a lot of thought that the motion itself is ambiguous. It's not actually clear. So I could guess at what certain members of council want that to say, but you shouldn't have to guess when you do. So there's some ambiguity there. And I think the other reason that it would be referred is it needs a serious look from the minister and the team there. Is this a real concern over the jurisdictional approach? Like you mentioned yourself, the federal government is going through a scientific, very detailed process, whereas the process at the HRM seems to be pretty political. So I think it's worth the minister taking a serious look at that, because it's ambiguous and because we need to be careful about the jurisdictional approach on that.
I'm just wondering if you could say are you planning to appoint new ministerial assistants, Mr. Boudreau and Mr. Rushton?
Yeah.
Thank you for your.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, we forgot to ask you about Texas. You want to say anything? Why are you going to Texas?
Well, let me tell you, Brian. We're going to, this is an energy-related trade mission, obviously, to Calgary and to Houston, to talk to industry. I think we're meeting in Calgary with the the Association of Canadian Petroleum Producers. But we just want people to know the Nova Scotia opportunity and have discussions with them. So that's what we're going to do. Okay.
Some name-related puns.
That's all the time we have. Thanks.
Thank you.
Here you go.